This summer, Instacart presents famous summer flavors coming to your front door. Or pool. Or hotel.
Your grocery delivery has arrived, sir.
That was faster than room service.
No violins in the lobby.
Oh, seriously? Anyway, sit back, relax, and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Starring your favorite snacks, drinks, and more. Download Instacart for free delivery on your first 3 orders. Rated H for hungry audiences. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum $10 per order. Excludes restaurants. Additional terms and fees apply.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, a music podcast where we chat to a new guest each week, talk about their life and creative endeavours, and talk to them about some of the music they love. Our show works by chatting to our guests about music, their songwriting techniques, and occasionally getting them to make you a playlist of the songs they love. Welcome to episode 147. I'm your host, Simon Fink. Our guest today is Bugs. The lovable pop rock band from Queensland have just released their 3rd studio record, entitled Cooties. In today's episode, we're speaking with frontman Connor about lyric writing that addresses toxic masculinity, their drummer Brock producing the new record, and the brilliance of Sheryl Crow. Here we go. Our guest today is 1/3 of the pop rock band Bugs. Hailing from Queensland, Australia, the guys have just released their 3rd studio record entitled Cooties, and they're about to take it on the road for the next 2 months. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Connor Brooker from Bugs. Hello, how are we?
Very well, thank you, Simon. Thanks so much for having me on.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. Whereabouts are you joining us from today, Connor?
I'm in sunny, hot, really humid Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, and it is so warm. I'm in my spare room with a fan going, which hopefully you can't hear too much in the background noise. But yeah, it's like, I'd say it's close to 40 degrees today, so it's like really, really steamy.
Is that normal for kind of like Brisbane weather? We're now in mid-April. Is that like normal kind of weather for Brisbane?
Unfortunately, yes. Our summer just continues on, and it kind of like just does this really sharp U-turn in May, and all of a sudden it drops to like below 10 at night and stuff, which is so much nicer. But yeah, luckily we tour enough that we get to enjoy all of the beautiful different climates that we have in Australia pretty regularly. So it's we're never stuck in sweaty Brisbane too long, and we like it. We're all used to it up here, so it's not too bad.
That's very fair. I appreciate the silver lining or the optimistic outlook of that you get to experience all the kind of weathers. That's a nice way to kind of look at it.
Yeah, it's one of the best parts about touring. We sent these trackies from Kathmandu last week, and I was like, I'm never going to need... Oh, wait, yeah, I will. I was like, I'm not going to need these in Brisbane. Then I remember like when we were playing a camping festival in Tasmania in March last year, and it was like snowing 2 kilometres off site, and like we were all wearing gloves and stuff like that, and it was just like, yeah, we experience a full range of seasons in Australia, and we're lucky to get to, I guess, experience all of it, because I don't know many Queenslanders that have seen snow.
That's very fair. I will pay that, yeah. I don't imagine that there's a lot. Connor, it's a very exciting time. At the moment, Bugs have recently released their 3rd studio record, Cooties. Congratulations, man. This record is sick.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad you enjoy it. It's such a weird feeling to finally have 3 years worth of blood, sweat and tears and like sacrifice into like out into the ether and in the open public. It's so cool just being able to, it's a real thing now, and thanks so much. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. It's just a bit of fun, and it's hopefully meant to put a smile on your face. That's, I guess, one of the intentions of the album, so I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It definitely is. I think it sounds silly and almost cliche, but putting a smile on your face, I definitely walked away a happier person after having listened to this record.
That's amazing. That's honestly like the best thing that I could ever hear as a writer. It's so cool being able to have that like positive effect on someone's like psyche or their mental headspace. It's like one of the most cool things as a musician or person, even just to be able to, I guess, have that connection and that like little moment. It's really nice.
Of course. The as I just mentioned, it's the third record from you guys, the third studio record. Does that kind of change with each record? Are you still maybe not shocked, but do you still kind of feel that that same kind of feeling when fans do come and tell you after each record that the love and admiration that they have for the songs that you guys are writing?
Totally. Like that kind of like that moment and that appreciation and like having someone be really brave and come up to you when they've never even spoken to you, and like sometimes they're shaking or crying or like they're so obviously visually putting themselves into an uncomfortable position to try and like basically make me feel good or someone else in the band feel good, like just in part that they appreciate what we do. And it's like such a beautiful thing, and like it doesn't wear off or it just gets better, honestly. The more, or like every time it happens, I feel overwhelmed and it's surreal, like the kind of stuff you dream about as a kid when I myself was doing that kind of stuff. I still do it to this day. Like I'm an adult, nearly 30, and I approach people that I admire and I'm scared to talk to them because I've built up this like image of them in my head. I can relate to how people feel sometimes when I can see their body language approaching me, and I just try to make them feel really comfortable. And like sometimes I can't because I'm just as blown away by the whole thing that like they're coming up to me as well. Like sometimes people will be like, look at how big my smile is, and I'm like, look at mine. I think I'm probably almost if not more stoked than you that this interaction's happened. Like, and people always apologize, and they're like so I think conditioned to thinking that there's like this like pedestal thing, and they're like, sorry, I don't want to waste your time, or like don't want to interrupt you and stuff. And it's like, this is literally what I'm here to like do. This is what I value more than anything, is like that connection with people over music. It's like why I got into writing it. It's why I do it. It's like it's so invaluable, that kind of it's the things that makes you keep going with your career, and like all the other stuff, like all the other metrics and things that happen in your career and successes are great and feel great, but there's no better feeling than like, having a connection with another person and feeling that like shared common ground. It's really grounding and it's really humbling.
Yeah, of course. I can imagine we've been very lucky, and I know it's obviously a very kind of maybe a sidestepping aspect, if you will, that we've been very lucky enough to have a number of people who we admire or revere on the podcast. And it's a funny thing when you speak to someone, when you both have that mutual, I guess, love or respect for music, that it is kind of like a people just want to talk about what they love at the end of the day.
So true. It's almost like a leveler, and it like immediately just like blows out any of that awkwardness that can potentially be there, that we all feel socially anxious. Like anyone that doesn't admit that's either a sociopath or like a god tier scary person, if you ask me, because everyone feels insecure, and like it's a healthy thing at the end of the day in a lot of ways if you don't let it destroy you. And it's just nice. You feel like once you show some passion and vice versa, the guard just like comes down and people are willing to just be themselves. And it's a really nice, I feel like you don't almost have to have those like vetting conversations and stuff when you're like maybe potentially becoming friends with someone or meeting people and you're kind of assessing their morals and stuff. You don't really have to worry as much about it when it's just like such a natural connection, and you can kind of tell that your ideology towards life is pretty similar based on the kind of bands that you listen to, which is such a crazy thing to say. It's almost like you wouldn't think those two things would be mutually exclusive, but like, for example, at Unify, the festival that we played a few weeks ago now, it was like going up to it. We were playing at a heavy metal festival. We had Short Stack playing before us. I had heavily tattooed people approaching me all day. Just like everyone was so damn nice, and like I felt like I made like literally hundreds of friends just off the back of like walking around in this festival, and it was like genuine connections with people, not just like I like these people because they like me, and that like it's just like there's so many like-minded people in one space. It was like almost like a drug. You just like, it was hard to pull yourself away from that kind of experience, and like getting in the van and going back to the accommodation, it was almost like little kid, like, or like my cat when I'm trying to show him affection. It's like, no, get away from me, like traffic stuff. I didn't want to leave, but yeah, it's so cool. It never, that kind of connection. It's so, I don't know. It's rare that people are able to have that kind of like comfort in a stranger immediately, and I think that's like a really beautiful, cool thing. That's like a byproduct of writing songs. Basically, it's this. So I don't know how it goes from like me writing like songs to like this end thing. All the in between is like this like slipstream blur that we're in. But then yeah, coming out the other side of it and getting people smiling and crying and like giving you a hug, it's the coolest stuff in the world. It's what I do it for, honestly.
I imagine that it is extremely fulfilling and kind of like heartwarming, and as you said, it's just, especially now in 2022 after the last few years, it's probably everyone is kind of just wanting to go back to gigs and wanting to be like, everyone's just happy to be there. Everyone's kind of happy to kind of like see these bands coming back with new albums, with new music, and being able to play shows.
Yeah, it's surreal. You hit the nail on the head. It's like, yeah, it's such, after 2 years of pent up like demand, it's just like crazy how much people have that like suffering and the hardship that everyone's been sharing. It's like re-geared everyone's perspective and appreciation for what we had and will have again. And yeah, it's incredible seeing like bands and not just bands, like music lovers coming out the other side of it and seeing the whole thing just like burst back to life is really inspiring. And it's like the energy that you get from like seeing all of that happen, it's just like fills your heart with so much joy and excitement for the future, because it's only going to keep kind of rolling out to being more normal and stuff now. And yeah, like another thing that was really cool is like music and the internet during all of that like physical greetings and stuff being basically banned. It's been a way that we can still make connections with people is via music and via the internet and like social media and stuff. It's like people that'll message us every few weeks kind of with paragraphs and paragraphs about how much this lyric or this song or this interaction has meant to them and how much it's deviated the course of their life potentially is so profoundly like it has a huge impact on me personally, hearing those kinds of stories, because it's a really strong reminder how much of a powerful vehicle for emotional change that music can be and how therapeutic it is for a lot of people, myself included. So it's just, yeah, it's been really nice, I guess, to feel like in some small way that, yeah, just our music has been able to help anyone with something that they've been struggling with, or at least making them feel less alone in their struggle. Like, we can't be there putting band-aids on the wounds, but at the end of the day, we can show them that we're putting band-aids on the same wounds on ourselves, and that's a good way to, I guess, embrace other people in your community and not being scared to show that you can hurt and that you can be sad and stuff. That's been a big thing with our music, is always like being honest, and not as much as it's like a bright and positive vehicle for what we want it to be, because that's what Bugs is and that's who we are as people. We don't shy away from introspective or emotionally challenging topics in our music, but we try to wrap them in a way that's kind of, it's in a way it's going to make people see a positive side of it and hopefully make them feel less alone if they're going through that same struggle. It's never like, I never want to write a song where it's just like, oh, woe is me, the world sucks, everything's bad, and there's no resolution. It's like, how is that satisfying as a movie? It's like, maybe I just grew up watching too much Disney and stuff. I don't know. But maybe I should just write a pure emo album, and, you know, but yeah, it's nice seeing people have that kind of, go through that journey, and like, the music meaning so much to them is so cool, and I can relate because I feel that way about a lot of bands as well. So it's cool. It's another shared commonality.
Yeah, 100%. The record was recorded, to my understanding, in, I think, 2020 with yourself and the band at your drummer Brock's house. And he produced and recorded the record. Was that the first time that you guys have kind of done something like that? Has it always kind of been like a DIY kind of band, or was this a COVID outcome, if you will?
Probably both. Like, we've always done it ourselves. That's how the band kind of started. I was just I was doing laptop, like programming the drums on my laptop and just throwing songs out into the internet. And like, I'd played in another band for years, and that's how I'd met Brock, our drummer. But we didn't know each other from Borisov at the time. I just put up a status saying, "Does anyone know anyone who can help me record some drums for cheap and stuff?" Because I just was over playing drums with my fingers on my laptop keyboard. So Brock was just like, per chance, one of my Facebook friends still, and he was just like, "Hey man, I'm recording for free and stuff." And I was like, "Oh cool." So that worked well on my budget. So I just ran over to his little, like, this house that was like squished underneath a paint shop in Taringa that was like, had no airflow. It was like carpeted ceilings barely above your head, like just the dingiest thing, and it was so sweaty. But we just banged out an EP there, and then I think became good friends through that, started getting show offers and made it a real band. And then next release we did it in our share house in Toowong, which was just another really home job, like had a spare room with the drums recorded in there. It was like that level of the house flooded every few weeks because of how crazy the rain we got. So it was just like so not ideal for having a home studio set up, but we've made it work. And then eventually Brock, years later now, moved into Bedlam, which was a recording studio in Indooroopilly, and that was just before the pandemic hit, and it was just incredible timing because basically lockdown hit and we were all like forced to not do anything, but because he technically lived in a studio space and we were a functioning enterprise and entity, we could still perform essential business, which was recording. So we could still access the studio while everyone was on pause, and we saw it as this massive opportunity to basically get paid to make music for the first time in our lives. Like, JobKeeper just became livable. Well, JobSeeker became livable for once, and it's above the poverty line. So we all went, we'd be stupid not to kind of take advantage of this, especially as musicians and creatives. It's like the government's handing out more money than ever. It's like almost to play too much into the trope stereotype, but we've got to, especially for the lack of funding they were giving for the arts, I was just kind of like, STFU, I'm going to take like all the cash that I can get from the government at the moment, because our industry's just been, as it said, first to shut down, last to be considered for any funding. So we just got to focus on the album, like go there for a few days a week for pretty much months and just be like, pretend we were like rock stars, like just playing stuff 10 times over to the point where it was like, I don't even know if I'm making it better at this point. Like, I don't know if we need that much time again in the future, because we're probably just like being wanky half the time and just like, let's try this and this. But, you know, through that like freedom, we've just kind of had the chance to throw everything at it. And that's our attitude with recording, just like throw everything at it and then strip back from there to see what sticks and what really needs to kind of like be there, whether it be in an individual song or like the whole album. I think we recorded close to 40 songs for the album and ended up whittling it down to 10. So thinking about throwing away 75% of your work is like insane to most people, but it's like a lot of those songs weren't really good. So I'm glad they're never going to get heard. But yeah, it's just like, it was a really long, really considered process. But at the same time, we're an independent band, so we had this open-ended kind of freedom to just be like, spend a lot of time with it, let the songs marinate, and really make sure that not just every song, but every second in every song was something that we knew needed to be there. It's almost like we tried to give every moment, it's every excuse to get it off the record, but the ones that we just couldn't basically argue against were the ones that ended up staying on the record, and even parts and stuff. So it's easily, in my opinion, and we all agree, it's hard talking on behalf of the other guys, but we've spoken about it previously, and it's the most proud we've ever been of a collection of our songs and album. Like, we're just all so wrapped with it. And I think previously we'd always kind of compromised on a few songs and been like, I don't really like those ones, but you two like those ones, and it's majority rules kind of thing. But now it's with this album, it's like all of us are in pure agreement because we've gone through such a long process together. And it was bizarre. Like, yeah, in our previous albums we've had like massively elongated, passionate conversations about our opinions, and this time it was just kind of like, so this one, yeah, those ones. That's what I was thinking. And then Jordan's like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. We're all like, what? All right, cool. That's the album. So it was, really. It was like really, we were really anal and stuff, but at the same time, it was just kind of like a natural. The way that it all kind of came together at the end, it was just like naturally all made sense to all of us. So it was really cool. And Brock's incredible. Like, our drummer, he's like, the amount of time, effort, and skill he's put into engineering the releases is just like, I could never put into words how much we appreciate how much he's done for us and continues to do for us. And yeah, it's just so cool watching him grow personally and professionally in his own goals. Has been another part of the band that's like so cool. Like, we're all really proud of each other's musical achievements and stuff in the band. Like, that's obvious because we're still doing it together, but like, it's a whole nother thing to see like your friend just like kicking ass at whatever, like every step that he's taking, he's working with even better bands, and he's just like, every release he puts out is incredible, like a big step up. So it's really cool watching him go through all of that personal and professional growth, and feeling like we're a small part of that journey is really a massive privilege, because he's incredible at what he does, and he works his backside off to get the outcomes he does. So really proud and really, really lucky that we get to work with him, because he's so in demand now as well. It's almost like he's just, poor dude, when we want to record an album, he's kind of like, oh, how am I like fit this in now, which is hilarious because it's his own band. We're like, dude, come on, priorities. But yeah, he's unreal with that. He's recording Daddy Ray's debut album at the moment as well, another Brisbane act, which is, it's so cool. Again, like, it's by extension watching them like grow over the last few years, and I think a big part of that's been them working with him and his influence on their production, and just so crazy to watch that like flow and effect of his influence like help another group of musicians get to levels of achievements that we've even only dreamed of. It's so cool. Like, we're not tall poppies here. It's just awesome seeing good people that have got good hearts like succeed. There's never anything bad about that. It's just so cool, especially when it's from Brisbane, where you probably know we're a bit almost like patriarchal. Is that the word? Or parochial? I don't know what the word is. Like, we're big patriots, Queenslanders. We're all big rugby league heads, and we won Origin 8 years in a row. So everyone here is so proud of Queensland. It's weird, me included. I love it. But, yeah.
Brock and yourselves have done a very good job with the songs on this record, and I feel like the sound is very like reminiscent of like late 90s, early 2000s kind of like power pop or pop rock or a few different kinds of genres. I know we're going to talk about Alone Again in a little bit. You're very kind enough to make us a playlist which influenced the track Alone Again, which I think is one of my favourite tracks off the record. One of the other tracks I wanted to talk about quickly before we got to the playlist was Mars and Venus, which I believe deals with toxic masculinity. And listening to this song, like, as I said, the whole record is great, but I was listening to this song and I did have to rewind a few times just to make sure that I was hearing the chorus correctly. What was it that made you? It is a very catchy chorus, but there's one line which we'll link in the show notes that I just had to make sure I was hearing correctly. What was it that made you sit down and write this song?
This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back to school supplies like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first, call your parents to say I'm sorry, and then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee with your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 an order. Additional terms apply.
It took a lifetime to find the person you want to marry. Finding the perfect engagement ring is a lot easier. At BlueNile.com, you can find or design the ring you've always dreamed of with help from Blue Nile's jewelry experts who are on hand 24/7 to answer questions, and the ease and convenience of shopping online. For a limited time, get $50 off your purchase of $500 or more with code LISTEN at BlueNile.com. That's $50 off with code LISTEN at BlueNile.com.
There's been so much the climate's really changed in terms of the media landscape and the social discussion surrounding this kind of stuff in the last few years for the benefit of everyone, I think. And it's obviously been at the forefront of my mind. And then, like, through so many different things happening in the media and social changes, basically made me reassess a lot of and just things like going to therapy, like going and seeing a therapist, like made me kind of look back at formative moments in my life and things that had a pretty profound impact on me moving forward. And like, I don't know, one of the things that I think has like formed my identity as a person largely is like the influence of my sisters and my mother, and like the feminine influence in my life has always been something that I've kind of related to a lot more in terms of like values and morals and things. Like from a very early age, I was just like, my sisters were dressing me up as the fifth Spice Girl, and we were putting on concerts in our like lounge room. And like, honestly, looking back on it, like I was like, I never want to play contact sport or anything. I just want to like, I was just a very soft and sensitive kid. And like, it was a product of conservative times and his nature. But my father was basically really repressive of that kind of stuff and would say really hurtful things in retrospective, like, oh, he's going to turn out to be a poofter, and like all these horrible slurs and words and stuff that taught me from a young age to associate like femininity and showing that side of yourself as a negative thing. And that's like the crux of where like toxic masculinity starts. It's like you don't just like wake up one day and start acting in this way. It's like you're taught these things from a very young age a lot of the time. And I'm not saying that like, oh, I'm not to be blamed. I take full responsibility for the effect that it's had on me and things that I've done in the past. But I think it's really important to look back on the ways that it was presented to you. And it was literally like made to me as a rule growing up, that it was like I was basically raised to be passively what's the word? Homophobic, really. And like that made me suppress my own want and desire to explore that identity potentially. And it's really depressing, honestly, because looking back, it's like now I feel like in the current landscape and climate, young people are really encouraged to be like progressive and open with their sexuality and really encouraged to explore it in a genuine way, as opposed to like being stuck in such a kind of troped gender role, which is what I grew up in. And I feel I'm so glad it's changed. Like couldn't imagine potentially how different I'd be as a person if I'd grown up in that landscape. And basically that song's just like it's like me going through all of that and trying to understand all of the things that happened to me when I was young myself, which basically helped form a large part of my identity growing up through my teenage years. And I'm so like, I'm not, I wouldn't say identify as a masculine person at all, and never really have, but like I played football in high school. Like I still had largely male friend groups. Like I still bought into that stereotype that was just so normalized around me. So there's definitely like an internalized guilt that like, I think it's not positive to hold on to that guilt and just let it fester. Like you've got to use it to drive change and like a learning curve. It's like chances for reflection and self-reflection are always, if you use them the right way, they can be catalysts for profound growth. And that's like over the course of my later teens and then 20s, I've kind of looked back at all the shit that I went through as a younger teenager and young person and was like, damn, that sucked. Like, I wish I'd been more encouraged to be more open in who I was and stuff. And now I am, and it's really cool and stuff. That, you know, I take everything with a grain of salt. Like, I try not to hold on to things and be too bitter. I'm just like, it's happened. What's the way that I can use it to inform my perspective moving forward that'll be positive? And that's like, yeah, I guess why the song's kind of like, I wanted to put the song on the album because it's really important to me personally. And it's like the other guys related to it in a lot of different ways. Like, I'd say they don't potentially identify as more feminine or masculine or whatever. Like, none of us really buy into that kind of stuff anyway. But it's just like, they were both they could both understand and were so supportive of the subject and content from the day that I brought it to them. It was just like so cool. It's like another way that you go closer to the people that you're working with, because I'm like, oh, these are things that like literally these two dudes have felt and experienced the same kind of like internalized struggle with. It's just they don't write songs, so they're not as good at communicating it, or like not as dramatic as communicating it or whatever. So it was really eye-opening. Like, it made me, they both got it and were really supportive of the song and stuff. They were just like, this is unreal. And Brock, particularly with the penis line, he was just like, so good. Just makes me want to like scream it. And it's really like, it's empowering. Like, the song's meant to feel empowering. And I don't know. Yeah, I want it to, if it can make like even 1/10 of the dudes that listen to it, make them reassess their own journey and like their own feelings, and I reckon that's a massive win, because dudes are so traditionally like hard, stonewall emotionally to break down. I think think with all of this societal change, it's starting to finally be more normalized to be an emotional and sensitive man. So hopefully we'll be breaking into more than 1 in 10. But yeah, you know what dudes are like. So if we can get 1 in 10 dudes to go like, oh, maybe I shouldn't like think so negatively about dudes wearing dresses, and like, yeah, it's just like, if I can have that effect, then it'd be a massive win. And even if like one person listens to it and it makes them feel more okay with their own like experience, as I said before, that's a win in itself. So I just wanted to write the song pretty selfishly, more for me than anything, because it was like a therapy vehicle. But then, yeah, now that it's out in the ether, I feel like it can be a really good, powerful thing for people who have experienced the same kind of struggle. So hopefully I can pick them out at our show when we're doing the tour. It'll just be like, you can tell, because the people that are screaming, the ones that like, they're like, yeah, that one meant something to you. It's just yeah. Hopefully I can see that one being pretty endemic at the live shows. It'd be really exciting.
100%. I think that track is, firstly, going to hopefully change some minds, or at least maybe change some perceptions of things. But I can also see it, as you said, the chorus, it's extremely it's just catchy. And I think that you're going to see that people yelling that back to you, for better or for worse, that chorus.
I'm glad you mentioned the for worse, because there's definitely going to be some bros who are like, it says penis, this song's about me. So it's going to be like that negative hijacking kind of like ones, but they're just going to hijack the message and just be like, yeah, it says penis, this is a song about dudes. But like, you can't do much about them. They're fucking, as long as they're not bumping into people or spilling beers on people, whatever.
That's the thing. There's always that. Hopefully, what you'll find, 9 out of 10 will have gotten the message, and you're always going to have the 10th who's just like, I heard the word penis. If you can get to the 9 out of 10, you're good.
I'll take it. As I said before, I'll take freaking 1 out of 10. Yeah. I don't have much faith.
Connor, would you be happy to talk about the playlist that you made for us today?
Yeah, love to. It was so much fun doing it.
Now, you have very kindly made us a playlist inspired by one of the album tracks, All Alone, which I think is this, again, talking about the sound of the record, it's a beautiful kind of like late 90s, early 2000s power pop kind of track. And one of my favorite things about this song in particular was the chord progression in the chorus, how it just kind of like it goes up before resolving, which I think is very satisfying in a song. On your playlist, you've included If It Makes You Happy by Sheryl Crow and Life is a Highway by Tom Cochrane, both also very satisfying choruses in these tracks. What made you put these songs on there, on your playlist?
So what we were talking, I've got a side note, what we were talking about before, you talking about like your appreciation and shared love for those things that I put those songs in the playlist for. It was just like making me this beaming smile the whole time, because I'm just like, I can so relate to you as a person and like see what you're feeling. It's like, and do you play music or something? Because that musical explanation was quite smart, if you ask me, in terms of the chord structures.
I have in the past, yes, yeah.
Yeah, that makes. I was just like, how do you know these things? This is not the kind of like stock interview kind of thing. But yeah, like, thank you for recognizing that and appreciating that. Like, I love that. Yeah, the chorus, how it's like, one of the things I touched on earlier was the Disney thing. Like, they're kind of just the masters of a lot of the soundtracks are basically go into these beautiful major chord structures, and they'll slip in like a minor chord to make you feel a little bit like down or confused, and then it'll have that resolution, because what I said before, it's like too much Disney music. I want the person to feel like the hug to come after the washing machine of emotion, I guess. So if you just leave them in the washing machine of emotion, I don't know what they're going to be doing after the song, but I don't want to be responsible for putting them in that headspace. So I guess, yeah, it's funny. With that song, it's just, yeah, Life is a Highway and Sheryl Crow, that song is just like, oh, the melancholy of the lyric and the dissonance with almost, yeah, the melody she's picking in the chorus. It's just got this haunting beauty of like, you're singing about, it's got that, I should have put My Happiness by Powderfinger on that playlist as well, because it's got that juxtaposing feeling where you're singing and it's feeling like hopeful, but it's such a depressing content matter that it's just like, why did this person put any major chords in this song? Like, because I don't want people to be crying while they're thinking about being alone. I want them to like smile. And yeah, we even snuck like, there's like this sample of a galloping horse like in the background of the like the transition out of the first chorus, because we're hopefully still going to be able to do a film clip for it. We got this crazy video idea where it's basically like a B&S ball in like the outback, where it's like, yeah, like a prom in a farm shed with like hay bales lining all the like the shed, and just like a tacky disco ball in the middle, everyone wearing like R.M. Williams and Rivers and stuff. And there's like one lonely cowboy there who's like doesn't have a date, and he's just getting like gradually more lonely, and like everyone's sharing punch and having swing dancing and stuff, and he can't join in. And then at the very end, on like that last chorus, just like this cowboy comes in on a horseback and just like kicks open the barn doors with like all backlighting, and just like rides in and just scoops him up, and they start making out, and then ride off into the sunset, and everyone at the prom's just like, oh my god, it's like the cinematic exit. And so yeah, there's a little sneak preview of the potential video. But yeah, it's such a weird, that's an idea of how visceral that song is for me, like when we wrote it, and how weird my brain is. Like a lot of the time, like people, I guess, write songs and they're like, hum, 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 acoustic guitar, here's a melody. I'm usually like, literally can hear the full produced song finished, and I'm seeing like the video kind of thing. And then it's like, whoa, this crazy process of trying to archive it or put it down somewhere, because this is the worst storage device in the world. I need to... Elon, if you're listening, I want some sort of upgrade hard drive put in there, put a chip in there if you need to. I don't care. Just do it. There's too much going on in here at any one point in time to like hold anything down. So that process is long sometimes, but we got there with Alone Again. I'll let you know how the video goes, but that's probably going to be like a 10-day cinematic shoot. But probably cost us like $100,000 or something ridiculous. Let's have some fun. What's the point of doing these things if we don't throw everything at it, as I said before.
Exactly. I love that, though, that it's not just kind of the song idea that you've thrown. There's the, as you said, there's like the hidden noise of the horse galloping. You've got the video already planned out in your mind. I kind of love that the song has come fully formed and then some.
Did you notice in the second verse as well, it's kind of like I guess it's in the first verse as well, but kind of the drum pattern Brock's picked on it. It's like we only noticed literally weeks after mixing it that it's like the exact same drum pattern that's in that Tears for Fears song, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Like, get your jacket, get your jacket, get your jacket, get your jacket, down, jacket. And we were like, oh, this is like got that kind of like galloping energy to it. It's like the like horse riding beat. And yeah, we were like immediately started picturing cowboys like crying on their own, like Brokeback Mountain style, like sad line dancing. And that's like it just makes sense, like isolated life on the ranch, like it just turned into this cowboy song all of a sudden. Even though like not much of it screams cowboy, but there's some slide guitar in there. And I tried to put some harmonica. I bought a harmonica to try and squeeze some harmonica in there, but yeah, I sent a mix. I sent like a track of it to Brock and Jordan. They were like, "No harmonica. This is like we're getting to the point of like pantomime, like mocking ourselves. If we're like the horse is enough, we don't need harmonica in there as well." I'm surprised, like I wasn't like, let's put like a chinking of like the tambourine bells on someone's boots. Like let's put that like a walking Western sound. But
what are they called? Like the spurs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think so. The little boot spurs, and they like make a little jingle, like my cat's collar.
Yes,
except way cooler.
The other tracks that I wanted to ask about, because you've also included a few, I'd say classics on there. There was on the playlist there's "Crying" by Roy Orbison, "Stand By Me" by Benny King, and some Beach Boys. For a band that I feel is of the last 20 to 30 years sound-wise, and maybe a little bit before, do you find that like a lot of classic songs kind of influence your songwriting?
God, yeah. Like I hide it. I think I hide it really well, as you've probably like not semi-picked up on. But yeah, my influences range so much deeper than like Sonic Youth and Blink-182, which are the ones that are really obvious and like a lot of the time we get drawn to because I think the people writing about or listening to them, they're the bands that were like popular at the time. They were in their like prime, I guess. So it's like an easy point to relate to. That like, God, I grew up on this very steady diet of like the Beatles, Beach Boys, Rolling Stones, like modern pop, like Spice Girls and stuff. But yeah, like really harmony-rich music. That's one thing that's always really stuck with me, is like things like specifically the Beatles and obviously the Beach Boys. Just the nuance and like, well, I wouldn't say nuance. That's a terrible word for it. But almost like the bravado and like the like just confidence to throw so much at the harmonic arrangements of these songs. Like with Beach Boys specifically, there's like 7-part, 5-part harmonies going in like choruses and parts that are previously hadn't, they like music hadn't really felt like it was really as, I guess, like reliant on harmonies being a thing that people remembered and was a hook. But all of a sudden, like it seemed like in the 60s, like with the Beatles and stuff, people just started pumping them in the mixes, and all of a sudden it gave these audiences like this whole new, like, harmonies are so powerful because people can pick one, and it's like they can pick a part of the song that sits within their own comfortable vocal register, and they can be singing along and be singing something literally completely different to someone next to them, and they can both still be correct. So it kind of removes that element of like pretentiousness where it's like you're not singing it right, or like you're off pitch or you're out of key, which like anyone that wants to pick on people for that's just an absolute drongo. But like, yeah, it's harmony-rich music is so it just evokes this really beautiful happiness and this feeling of like, it just deepens the texture and the richness and the feeling in the music for me personally. It always has, and I've always been like drawn back to like songs for a lot of the time the harmony is the thing that kind of makes it for me. And I guess that's one thing I wanted to always put in our music. And with like Alone Again, a good example, things like the mix kind of low in the end, but the ba bars in the background of the chorus, like that's like OG barbershop quartet kind of stuff, like Beach Boys 101, if not earlier than the Beach Boys. So I love, like, another part of, like, I guess why I put some Roy Orbison stuff in there as well is, like, one really powerful thing from that era is vocal delivery, not just with the arrangement of harmonics, but, like, the conviction in vocal delivery. But a lot of the time they were focusing on doing things in one take, and they were doing things to tape. So it was like, they'd still do multiple takes, but there was such emphasis on, like, the resources they were using were not infinite. Like, they didn't just have a 20 terabyte hard drive they could, and like X amount of time they could keep working on these things on. They had like deliverable timelines that were usually a lot quicker as well. Like album cycles were much quicker as well back then. So I feel like there was this like really important prominence placed on the vocalist's like delivery of the message of the song that's almost been lost through the inception of like digital pop music and that age that came through the 90s. And there's all the world of documentaries you can watch on autotune ruining the industry and all stuff like that. But like, yeah, it's like, I don't want to badger on about it and sound like some old dude who's like, it was better back in not even my day because I wasn't even born. But like hearing the richness of like the tape recordings and not just that, like the purpose in the delivery of the message, I think in a lot of vocalists, especially like Roy Orbison, it's like, the performance is cut right to the core of you and they're not a performance anymore. It's like, it's such a genuine, like, I use the word connection a lot, but it's just like they just get right into the middle of you and burrow straight into the core of your soul. And it's just like they're just like wrenching at your heart. And you just go like, how's this having this effect on me? When I'm usually a generally pretty stoic and somewhat balanced person, it's like just like, bang. And it's because of like, it's a really powerful thing when someone's really intentional and purposeful with what they're trying to put across. And I think artists in that era were better at it because the beard of, I guess, living in a more like, I guess, culturally rich society, there was a lot of like seemingly more big changes happening in the world at the time. So it almost feels like there was just like more, it was a more emotionally heavy landscape at the time. I feel like people's connection with social media in the modern world and the digital age has kind of like dulled our sensitivity and our emotions a little bit. But yeah, I feel like it was just like people felt more convicted in the messages that they were trying to get across. And it wasn't like they were just trying to get across the message. It was like, it's make or break for them that you just like be on board with them via this song kind of thing. So I think it was like, yeah, it was really cool, and that's why I draw a lot of my influence from like vocal deliveries from that era now, and a lot of sneaky little things with like backing vocals and harmonies. It's like I try to put them into our music as much as possible, just because I love them. It's so when I listen back to the songs, I want to hear all that juicy goodness, and I don't just want it to be like a knockoff of like Blink or something else that I've also really loved and appreciated. I don't ever just want it to be like, I've never written a song and sat down and been like, I want this to be a song like this. I've never had that intention, and no shade to artists that do. I reckon that's a whole other skill in itself. But yeah, I've just never written a song and been like, I want to achieve sounding like this. It's always just a really natural, organic kind of like, it just like in my head and it's there. So it's just a result of me listening to a pretty broad range of stuff, and the more modern stuff is what I grew up on in my formative years. So that, I guess, has a more profound, obvious influence, but the other influences still kind of like wriggle their way through the cracks and find their way into the final the final mixes and stuff. And I'm open to trying different stuff in the future. Like the next Bugs album could just be freaking all live and recorded to tape. Like I don't want to like keep this thing bound to anything, because then it gets boring and like the other guys will get bored too, and we're so like prepared to be more explorative going into the future with our production styles and stuff. Like I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few years we put out an album that's sounds like a vintage kind of band, or out like a big sonic shift where people will just be like, what the hell did this come from? And it might freak people out, but I wouldn't put it past us, and I'd say we're probably, if anything, we'd probably lean that way on the next release that we do, but that's so far ahead down the track. I don't want to think about that.
We've still got Cooties to process and to live with and to love at the moment now. So we will deal with that next album when it comes down the line. But Connor, thank you very much for being on the podcast today. I do appreciate it. And congratulations again on Cooties, which is out now.
Thank you so much, Simon. Really appreciate your time and your appreciation for Australian music and what you do and supporting us.
And that's our show. A massive thank you to Connor for his time. Cooties is out now, and we've left links in the show notes if you'd like to buy the record or see the guys on tour. We also want to give a huge shout out to Thomas at Positive Feedback for helping out with today's interview. You can find a link to Connor's playlist in the show notes, where you'll be able to listen to all of his playlist picks. If you like this show, please subscribe wherever you get your pods and stay up to date when new episodes are released. We release new shows each Wednesday and Friday morning, and we now have a Patreon, which you can find within the show notes of this episode. You can follow the playlist profile on Spotify, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until next week, cheers.
The most powerful designer drugs are the digital ones we use daily. And we get high off them. One touch, tap, like, scroll at a time. You know, just like tech creators want us to. Use digital without digital using you. Learn more at sync.ithra.com.